What is going on, people? Triple M back again with another video. I hope you guys are doing well. Today, I would like to talk about Arsenal Football Club and their game against PSG, as well as their season more generally, and specifically just talk about Mikel Arteta as manager, because I've heard a lot of discourse and a lot of fallout and a lot of debates surrounding Mikel Arteta and his future following the exit to PSG. And I thought I would just give my 2 cents as a rival fan. And I want to preface this opinion by saying that I think Arsenal are a good team. In fact, when Arsenal finished second in the league the first time under Mikel Arteta, I thought, damn, this team looks serious, because they were playing a scintillating, confident brand of football. They were actually attacking teams and relentlessly pursuing goals regardless of who they were playing against. It wasn't just against the smaller teams in the Premier League. Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, United, Spurs, all these big clubs, including every other club in the league, could get it. And they were on smoke, and I respect that. But as the seasons have gone on, and as Mikel Arteta's the pressure on Mikel Arteta, has started to rise, it seems like Arsenal have become a lot more pragmatic and a lot more one-dimensional, especially since the departure of Granit Xhaka. They look like a team that year on year is getting worse. And I don't just mean in terms of style of play, I'm also talking in terms of efficiency. Yes, defensively, they're one of the best teams in the world, not just in the Premier League. However, going forward, they're very one-dimensional and very predictable. Arsenal have become really one-dimensional, and that is a tactical thing. I think Mikel Arteta has one style of play, and if the de facto style of play doesn't work, he doesn't really have any ideas. And I think you can see this in the type of substitutions that he makes. Mikel Arteta, generally speaking, when I watch Arsenal, which isn't every week anymore because they're not that entertaining, but as a rival fan, when I watch Arsenal, it seems like Mikel Arteta tries to replace like for like. It seems like he doesn't like players who don't match the profiles that are already in his starting 11. So he won't bring on a Tierney as an example, because Tierney is a very different fullback to, say, a Zinchenko or whoever else he chooses to play at that particular time. It seems like he doesn't prefer a player like Kivior, because Kivior is very different to what Saliba and Gabriel and Timber are. It seems like Mikel Arteta is set on the type of profiles that he wants, and he does not understand that there are many ways to play football, and you don't need this robotic possession-based approach solely. You can have players who are a bit of pace and power. You can have players who are a little bit more direct. And that's the issue for me. The fact that he didn't bring Nwaneri on in the second leg is crazy. And the fact that he only brought him on in the 87th minute in the first leg is also crazy. What do you mean you're bringing me on with 3 minutes to go? What am I supposed to do in 3 minutes? Why not bring me on with 20 minutes to go or half an hour to go, so that I can get myself warmed up and I can actually get myself into the game and get a feel for the ball, get a feel for the atmosphere, get a feel for the tie. Like, that's my issue with Mikel Arteta. His types of substitutions and the timing of the substitutions is awful. He is not proactive enough. He waits for stuff to happen, then he tries to react to it when it's too late, instead of seeing the danger ahead of time and saying, you know what, I have a bad feeling about this game. I'm going to make an unpopular substitution. And even though the fans won't understand it, and even though everybody else won't understand it, this is my team. I'm taking control of the situation. I'm grabbing this game by the scruff of the neck, and I am affecting change. He doesn't seem to be that kind of manager. That is essentially what I've seen from Arsenal. Now, I know that the rebuttal to this will be that it's not Mikel Arteta's fault that Saka hasn't scored his chance. It's not Mikel Arteta's fault that Rice didn't score his chance. It's not Arteta's fault that Partey made a mistake leading to goal. And of course, it's not Arteta's fault that Odegaard had a lackluster performance. And we created more XG. We were the better team. We created more chances. It's not our fault we lost. But my rebuttal to these in order would be, first of all, on the individual errors, Mikel Arteta built this team. So he may not be responsible for individual errors as they are happening in the game, but if he endorses players who continuously show an inability to keep their composure under pressure, that's partially on him, because those are his players. This squad has been built in his image. So whether it's injuries or whether it's lackluster performances, the manager has to take responsibility for the squad that he's built and the situation he's ultimately put himself in. That's harsh, but that's the reality of football management. You take accountability for the team that you have built, because when you win, you get credit, right? You get called a tactical genius. You get called an elite level manager. Look at Hansi Flick. Look at Inzaghi. Look at Unai Emery at Villarreal. Look at Thomas Tuchel in his first season at Chelsea. Look at Pep Guardiola at Man City, right? When you're winning, it's great. You're the tactical genius. You're the minds. You're the brains behind the operation. Unfortunately, that also applies when you're losing. You are now forced to take accountability for everything that is going wrong, even the problems that aren't in your control, because you're the captain of the ship. If the ship is leaking and you're not the one who broke the ship, it's still your responsibility to make sure that leak gets patched up. Otherwise, the ship is sinking and you're going down with it too. That's what being a leader is about. So yes, it's not Mikel Arteta's fault that Saka literally didn't finish his chance, but it is Mikel Arteta's fault for not being proactive and actually reacting to that with his in-game management ability. Again, with the like-for-like substitutions, not trying something different, not bringing on Ethan Nwaneri and saying, you know what, I'm going to take a gamble. I'm going to take an effing chance and try. Just try. And bring him on for half an hour. Don't bring him on for 3 minutes and give him pity minutes. That's what I would say to that. And also, the XG thing. Arsenal did create more chances than PSG. You know why? Because Arsenal were chasing the game. That's how football works. If you look at the Champions League winners, you will notice an interesting pattern. Generally speaking, the teams that win and go through to the next round are the teams that are more pragmatic in the second leg because they've already got a lead. So yes, the team that's chasing the game is going to have a higher XG, and the team that's chasing the game is going to create more chances because that's how football works. If I'm winning and you're losing and I decide to defend and you decide to attack, but you ultimately fail to score, I'm the better team because I'm the one who took my chance and I'm the one who put myself in a position where I was allowed to be pragmatic. It would be a different story if it's 0-0 and I'm defending from the jump and I'm just being pragmatic because I'm afraid of you. That's not what PSG did. PSG went to the Emirates and they were proactive. They were aggressive. They played with a bravado and a confidence that I have not seen a team play with at the Emirates in a long time. And they took Arsenal's chain in broad daylight and said, what are you going to do about it? Come back to France and try to get your chain back. And Arsenal failed. Arsenal failed. So XG, it's I don't want to say it's irrelevant because it is a useful metric in trying to analyze a team's performance. But looking at a team's XG and saying, oh, they had more XG, therefore they were the better team, is such a lazy way to analyze football. It's a terrible way to analyze football because the context is PSG allowed Arsenal to have possession. PSG conceded possession because they were trying to play on the counter. In the first leg, different story. It's 0-0. We're trying to score. We've scored now. Now we're defending. That's how football works. I'm amazed that people are actually using XG as an argument to try say, oh, Arsenal were the better team. They were just unlucky. How many times have we seen it? Dortmund had a better XG against Real Madrid last season. In the Champions League final, I'm pretty sure. But they lost. Because you know why? Real Madrid took their chances and were able to sit back and say, okay, now you try score. So obviously their XG was higher because they were chasing the game for most of it. It's common sense. It's common sense. So whether you like it or not, at the end of the day, the buck stops where the buck starts. You can't praise Arteta when Havertz scores 14 goals in the Premier League. You can't praise Arteta when Saka has amazing individual performances that carry Arsenal through a season. Or when Declan Rice scores 2 free kicks. And then suddenly when things go wrong, you don't blame Arteta now. The same guy you were giving credit for, the same guy you were calling a magician and a brilliant manager for taking Arsenal out of the banter era. Now that Arsenal are regressing, you're like, no, but it's not his fault. You can't do that. If you believe managers have power to positively impact a team, then you have to believe that managers also have the power to negatively impact a team. End of story. I'm not saying Arteta's a bad manager. I'm just saying he's not free of blame. And any Arsenal fan who doesn't hold him accountable for the lack of trophies is insane, in my personal opinion. Let me know if you disagree in the comments down below. It's been your boy Triple M. Leave a like on the video, leave a comment. Otherwise, peace!